This is literally his video is called "Progressive Caucus rushes to pick Biden over Marianne." Now this is a video basically where he's mad that the Progressive Caucus has already said that they're backing Biden. So, but listen to how he calls them out. And the point of this story, Nick, is how he goes hard on them for Marianne Williamson, which is very curious to pick Marianne Williamson as the subject to go this hard at the progressives on. And let's listen. Let me know when you want to stop.
So I try my best, even though I'm an opinionated guy, to be as objective and fact-driven as possible on this channel. So, for example, when somebody who I don't like Joe Biden, for example, does something good, I have to come out here and say, you know what? I agree on that one. Like, for instance, when he pulled out of Afghanistan, everybody in the media was melting. Oh, my God, don't do this. The implication was go back in. Like, don't leave. No.
Did you want to stop?
So, yeah. The only thing I added, I'll be quick. I want to continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
What you do, you give Biden way too much credit, and then you praise him for stuff he doesn't deserve credit on. While you guys are praising Biden for pulling out Afghanistan, we would criticize him for sanctioning and starving Afghanistan citizens to death because we acknowledge that economic war like sanctions is no different from hot war, especially if those fucking sanctions, you guys stealing that money, leads to millions of deaths. Imagine a war that leads to millions of deaths, CJ. That's what estimates said. Millions are going to die because of Biden's decision to steal the money from the banks. Millions are going to die because of that. There are working class people who got their money stolen because they had their money in the bank so they can't get food. So that's going to be that already killed 13,000 infants. That was like a year ago. 13,000 infants dead a year ago. No, God knows what the number is now. So why would you even praise Biden for Afghanistan? That's part of his policy. And that's what you get criticized for because you do this thing where, like, I don't like Joe Biden, but I'm going to give him credit for this. And that thing you give him credit for, he doesn't deserve credit for. you like, I don't like Joe Biden, but I give him credit for Ukraine. What? I don't like Joe Biden, but I give him credit for his Israel funding. That's just as ridiculous as ridiculous as what Kyle does. Imagine if I said, man, I don't like Joe Biden, but I will give him credit where credit is due. That crime bill was really good. That's what you motherfuckers do all the time. Like, that's what he does. But anyway, let's continue.
Getting out is good. No matter when you rip that Band-Aid off, it was going to be messy. So get it over with now, because, we shouldn't be there any day longer than we have to, which, really shouldn't have gone in there in the first place, right? You want to take out Osama bin Laden in some special mission, that's fine. But to wage the war, no. So, or, the attempt to reduce student loan debt. It's not perfect. I would have liked all the student loan debt gone, but he tried to reduce some of it. Okay, credit. You have to be honest. You have to put the facts first. Now, I will say, though, even though I strive as much as I can to be objective and tell you guys the truth, even if Trump, hey, he did something okay in this area, I'll tell you. On a personal level, I cannot adequately describe to you how much I hate all of these people, how much I despise all of these people. Even the nominal allies who, 85% of the time, the way they vote, I'm like, yeah, I would vote the same way. On a personal level, I despise all of these people. So here's a good example why, right? MSNBC clip.
So here's an example he's given of why he despises some of the progressives.
Is it because of Ukraine funding?
No.
Is it because of Ukraine funding? Is it because of the rail strike?
No. Why no, Nick? Why no? That's not it. That's not the reason at all.
That's not why he's furious with the progressives? Weird.
Why no?
Let's see why. I haven't even seen the video yet. I already know. Something ridiculous.
All right. Is it?
We're going to be talking about Marianne Williamson. And
here it is.
I'll let them take it over from here, and you'll see why I'm upset.
Democrats are putting on a united front to support President Joe Biden for a likely re-election bid. Despite questions about his age and his approval ratings in the low 40s, House Democrats agreed they're sticking with Biden during their annual retreat last week in Baltimore. The gathering included both progressives and moderates, along with leadership and rank-and-file members. Biden is already the oldest president in history at the age of 80. And if he runs and wins re-election next year, he would be 86 at the end of his second term. The president said he intends to run for that second term, but has not officially announced his candidacy. The official announcement is slated for the months ahead. Aides have been looking towards April, though there's some recent chatter that it may slip later into the year. For more on that, I'm joined by congressional reporter for The Hill, Michael Schnell. Michael, great to see you this morning. So you were talking to House Democrats who have made it clear that they are coalescing behind President Biden. And we're going to set aside
Guess who predicted
Marianne
that?
Williamson.
So now this segment is devastating for Kyle.
Look at his face.
Like Kyle saw this story and he was like, "God damn it!" Meanwhile, guess who predicted this months ago? We did. We did. If only someone could have known this was going to happen, Kyle. But let's continue.
Okay, where am I? Right here.
So you were talking to House Democrats who have made it clear that they are coalescing behind President Biden. And we're going to set aside Marianne Williamson. And at the moment, anyway, Biden seems to be unchallenged for the nomination. But
first of all, I love that point. We're going to set aside the challenger and say Biden's unchallenged. Wait, you're supposed to be the news. By no definition is that unchallenged. It might be challenged by somebody who you don't think has a good shot. Fair. But you didn't say that. You said, putting aside the challenger, he's unchallenged.
He's mad.
Like he's mad with, like he's triggered the same way I'll be triggered when watching police videos. You know when we do like the police stories and we get like super fired up? Like that's as mad as he is right now. Go ahead.
Deeper for us. How united are these Democrats really behind Biden? What are their concerns?
He gets turned up. The heat gets turned up when they name specifically who's backing him. Watch this.
That's exactly right, Jonathan. House Democrats at their annual retreat in Baltimore last week, they met there in Baltimore, and there was one clear theme throughout that one of many clear themes throughout that 3-day retreat was Biden 2024. House Democrats from all ends of their very diverse, politically diverse spectrum threw their support behind a Biden reelection campaign. And I'm talking about the center-left New Democratic Coalition, members of leadership, and also members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal, who I will note threw her support behind Bernie Sanders in the 2020 presidential primary. She said that she would like to see President Biden announce his campaign sooner rather than later, really underscoring the support for Biden among House Democrats.
He's about to go off.
The Congressional Progressive Caucus. It's being reported they're already all in for Joe Biden.
Go off, King.
They know Marianne's running. They understand that. They know that in theory, on paper, the things Marianne supports is much closer to what they say they support, but they're all in for Joe Biden. Let me ask you a question. Why? Why do you think that is? Why? Look, here's the reality.
They sold out, Kyle.
For the best of them, the reason why they support Biden is
Kyle, and I'll be real quick with this point. When he criticized Jimmy in our version where we say the squad is corrupt, he said you can't say they're corrupt. Meanwhile, this is an example of why they are corrupt. He like, why do you think that is? The answer is they're corrupt, Kyle, something that you have refused to say many times. You still believe they're acting in good faith. But let's continue, CJ.
Nick, this is the exact thing we discussed. We was like, what's gonna happen when the people who you have literally banked your money, your economic status on, and that's the Bernie Industrial Complex, when they're different than the candidate you now are backing.
Exactly.
And now we're seeing the results of that. And we knew this was gonna happen. We called it a long time ago.
Yeah, and that will happen when you actually use critical thinking skills. Like they be running blindside into shit that we see coming months in advance. But let's continue.
We think he's inevitable. So, we want to make some change in the direction that we prefer. And the way to do that is to play the game, back the guy who we know is going to win, and hope that it's tit for tat. I support you, so he'll do favors for me. Those favors for me could mean some things I prefer, whatever, childcare, name it, fill in the blank with whatever.
You think that was happening?
Particular pet.
Isn't that the same thing? But I know I'm not saying that he's saying it's happening. But this is the thing we critique them on. that they are buddying up, cutting them up to the imperialist party
credit
for these little meager things. Go ahead.
CJ, you make a good point, but he also gives them too much credit at the same time. So he brings up the same thing we criticize them for, making deals with corporate Democrats.
Yes.
But this is the part where he gives them too much credit. He says, I don't know why he would do this. They supporting Biden over Marianne Williamson. I don't know, maybe for stuff like childcare. Hey, Cal, sweet summer Cal. I'm sorry to break it to you. They're not getting shit for these negotiations, bro.
At all.
The Democrats tell them an order and they follow it. What you see how he snuck that in? Maybe they're not endorsing Marianne Williamson because they might be getting child care of it. No, they're not getting shit, Cal. They're doing it for the love of the game, okay?
Do you think he's gonna go back to them? Back to the progressive squad after Marianne Williamson? And I think that's why the other podcasters who aren't personal friends of Marianne are kind of treading lightly because they're not trying to fuck up their money with the Bernie industrial complex. So that's what I think they're kind of treading lightly. They're all kind of saying, oh, she's cool. Nobody's going like, no, like how they went with Bernie Sanders. They're, go vote. Nobody's doing that. Yeah. They're just kind of going, yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, definitely some politicking going on, but let's continue.
Policy issue is. That is, if I'm being incredibly kind, that explanation. For only the best of these people, only the most selfless of these people, is that a possibility.
Fair enough. At least he addressed
it. We think he's inevitable. And in our estimation, he's done an okay job. So let me snuggle up to the power now, do a little tit for tat. We'll support you, but then you have to, in turn, do stuff for us in your second term. I'm being so kind by even throwing that out there as a potentiality.
Why are you being kind?
Is that a word? Potentiality? I don't know. Anyway.
So he can double back after Marianne Williamson drops out and endorses Joe Biden because he has to come back to the Bernie industrial complex to continue his career. So this is the bone that's going to allow him to come back.
What are other reasons why they would do this? Careerist reasons.
Really?
We think he's inevitable.
Oh, what? This is the same stuff we were saying. Go ahead.
Oh, you're so close. Oh, you're so close, child. You're so close. Let's see if he gets it. Let's see if he gets to the answer. Let's see.
So I'm gonna snuggle up to him. I'm gonna make a big show of it, and hopefully he will give me a little pat on the head. Excuse me, and I will be rewarded personally and professionally with the spot in the administration or with his endorsement for my election or whatever it might be.
See, Kyle, you're so close. The only correction is they don't expect to get shit from this. This is the benefit that you give. The Democrats tell them, you do this, you fall in line, or else. What can I get a job in administration? Motherfucker, you better do this. We consider that shit later. You better follow this. You follow orders. They're not doing it for committee assignments. They're not doing it for cabinet positions. They're not doing it for policy recommendations. They're following orders. And if that stuff comes, that's great. You know what I mean? So you're so close, Kyle. We still don't necessarily get it, but it's funny watching them have this half awakening where he's still resisting RBN's position. He's resisting our position, but stating the things we say that lead to our position. You know what I mean? But go ahead, CJ.
Do you think there is the possibility of people even still buying into this progressive thing is because there's no money? There's no money. They supposedly don't take no money, but they don't have any explanation for why these people who don't take corporate money is voting the same that the people who take corporate money is doing. Like, there's no explanation for that, which I don't understand. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I just thought of that, but let's get back to the video.
With his endorsement for me trying to level up when I run for Senate or whatever, right? Like, that's probably most of them. So a small number, the best of them, it's like, he's inevitable. Let me play the game. And then hopefully I can get, since I'm playing the game and I'm supporting him, I'll get tit for tat. I'll be able to get some policy victories I want. And for most of them, it's probably that careerist ambition. Stop and think about, these are the potential explanations. What's off the table? We now know none of them are acting from principle.
How do we know?
So in other words, if they claim, hey, I'm in favor of Medicare for all. I'm in favor of free college. I'm in favor of a higher minimum wage. I'm in favor of unions. I'm in favor of ending the wars. I'm in favor of getting money out of politics. If they claim those things, if they actually meant it, then the principled thing to do would be to say, who's closer to my actual positions?
The Green Party. That's what would be the principal thing to do. Because, Nick, how is this not the same argument we can be saying to you about supporting a person who's running in a Democrat? This is literally the same thing. Who's closer to your principles? Isn't the Green Party closer to your principles than the Democratic Party? Because the Democratic Party is not for a lot of stuff you're for.
And there was a great point. I apologize. I forgot who put the comment up, but I did put the comment on the screen. There was a great comment that said, "Will Cal be this outraged as Marianne Williamson was a third-party candidate?" Which, to your point, Cal, what does that say about your principles? Because we all know, imagine Marianne Williamson was running a third-party candidate, and in the media like dismissed her like this. Cal would not be this mad about it.
No.
So why are you this mad only when she run as a Democrat? What about your principles, Cal? Right? But let's continue the video.
Oh, it's not even close. Marianne's 1,000 times closer to my actual positions. I'm going to support her. Not a single one of them is acting based off principle. Now, look, I'm a kind guy. I'm a fair guy. I could see things from other people's perspective and adjust accordingly, and even give some leeway, right? But what would I be comfortable with? What would I be like? You know what? I see the pickle that you're in, and I don't think this is a crazy idea. I would be perfectly comfortable if the Congressional Progressive Caucus or some members of it just said, you know what? We're just going to sit it out, right?
What?
Not going to endorse Biden. Not going to.
You'll be comfortable with that. Wait, what? So you passionately believe in doesn't that say everything, guys? Just a quick point. We disagree on this issue, okay? Okay. But I thought you believed in your strategy. Like, we are upset because people are halfway in on this mutual aid third-party shit. We were telling people to go all the way in, or you're not really comrades. That's mostly our position. CJ often say, you're my comrade until you're not.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's this project you're apparently really interested in that you believe the same way I believe that mutual aid is the way forward. The same way I believe in mutual aid is the way you believe Marianne Williamson right now. But you okay if people stay on the fence? You guys see how none of this shit is really serious for these people? The win is not really necessarily that important. That's why it also doesn't make sense for people who claim they believe in Marianne Williamson to say shit like, well, we can also donate to third parties and
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, so you are saying that you're going to run a hard campaign where you got to be dark money, but you also support this campaign knowing that you're not going to have enough resources to win? Like, if I really believed in this shit, I'd be going all in for it. So the fact that you guys even saying that you don't have to donate to this campaign, so that you guys really don't really want to win because that's not possible. The difference between RBN and these people, as far as I've seen, is that only one of us is serious about winning. Only one of us is serious about the outcome that will be for the workers, which is why we asked from day one, when Marianne Williamson endorsed, what would this lead to? If this leads with Marianne Williamson endorsing the Democratic Party, not interested. If it leads to another humiliating, debilitating defeat for the workers that don't lead to any third-party building, we're done with it. Meanwhile, these people are like, come on, let's dabble in it. Let's experiment. You know how it's just a game to them. It's a scientific project.
That's it.
Wait, I want to see what happens when you put this variable in. The result doesn't matter. They're just playing around. Meanwhile, with us, these years matter. And this is a hard question to answer. Ever since Bernie first started his race in 2016, how many people died from lack of health care since then? How many people have gone homeless since then? The point I am making that goes over these people's head is that a lot of us do not have this unlimited clock. I do not have health care right now. I'm lucky I'm mostly healthy, but God knows what's going to happen here soon. You know what I mean? We don't have this unlimited borrowed time that you guys have to do these weird experiments that literally everyone with Marxist analysis know not going to work. But go ahead. Let's go see. Y'all probably had to bounce soon, but go ahead. Let's continue.
Yeah, it's one in.
I'm not going to suck up to him when I have a candidate who I agree with, but I don't want to take the political risk to my career and to making change for the better from within this system by, hopping on what I view as a sinking ship. So I'm just going to stay out of it. I'm not kidding here, guys. I would respect any Congressional Progressive Caucus member, any politician who was like, I'm just not going to endorse Biden. Because even that, in the context of the DC swamp, is a brave thing to do. Even that is like you're sacrificing
why is that
any sway you have with the admin.
Why is that your metric? Like, why is that your metric? Is you be okay with these people that play by the rules? Now I let it continue, guys. I got a lot of time left, but that don't even make no sense. Why are you even giving them that pass? Who cares? We should establish our own rules. Anyway, let's continue.
Administration, any sway over policy agenda moving forward, potential re-election issues, even just staying out, it might impact that. So if they just stayed out of it and said, I'm just going to let the race play out and I'll back whoever wins, I would respect that. But they don't even do that. The real principled thing to do is, I agree more with Marianne on policy. I'm with Marianne. That would be the real principled thing to do. The semi-principled thing to do, if I'm being kind, is I'll just stay out and see what happens. And then, hopefully the person I want to win, Marianne, wins, and then I'll support her.
What do you mean semi-principled?
But nobody's doing the principled thing. Nobody's doing the semi-principled.
Semi-principled. What does that mean?
That's not even a concept. That's not even a concept. You know what I mean?
Imagine if you're a semi-principled abolitionist. And you're like, I believe reform, but I also believe in locking these motherfuckers up. You're a semi-Medicare for all advocate. Where you're like, I kind of believe in healthcare unless you got cancer. Like, what does that even mean? You guys say these weasel words that these people use. Anyway,
because these are mushy concepts that they live in. Say again? These are mushy concepts.
That's so funny. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying these are mushy concepts because in their world, everything is kind of fluid. Like, yeah, Medicare for all. Yeah. Everything is kind of fluid for them. So,
principle thing. Everybody is doing I'm going to master the inside game either for my own careerist ambitions or because I think I can win and get better change that way. And those people are 100% factually wrong. They are wrong. They're wrong. And that's what's so frustrating about these people to me. Is that, because, if I was in that, it's easy for me to talk a big game, right? Being outside of that world. But if I was in that world, I would endorse Marianne. And maybe I would totally ruin my career prospects. I'd be out of politics within the next election cycle. I'd be smeared. I'd be, dragged through the mud or whatever. But at least I went down fighting for what I believed in.
Which is a candidate that's a millionaire, instead of doing this very tactic, and I can end there, instead of doing this very tactic to save Palestinian lives. How about that? How about doing this about the parliamentarian? Like, you see what the professional managerial class chooses to say.
They use words that like
lay my life around. Go ahead. Lay my
they
life
use
down
words
over Marianne
like,
Williamson.
They use words that would never be in our vocabulary. Like when remember purity ploys?
Purity test and
like I never seriously used the term purity test in my entire life. I never was like, oh my god, stop having purity tests. Never came out of my mouth. That shit come out of the professional managerial class all the time. Semi-principled. Never fucking used that word before. What does that mean? You're the principled or you're not principled. They use these terms all the time that show the difference in our culture, which is extremely obvious to us. And they so disconnected from workers and honestly, especially working class black people. Honestly, the only black people they're around is like the Breeds and the professional managerial class blacks. So they're so disconnected from us. We hear the words they use and we immediately are turned off. Like, what do you mean by this and this and this and this? And then they wonder why we got so many criticisms of our politics. They don't even know how far they are from us.